Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All-American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
And of course, it helps if I open up the mic. This is Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. We are back. It is, damn, it's not Friday yet. It's Thursday, though. I'm going to open up your mic, too, there. And we have a special guest in the house today. We have Jamie Anderson. Jamie's with the Golden Years Project, which is a new startup that you're launching here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, well, we're going to hold you right there for a second because I need to do something. I, again, screwed up. I haven't shared the Facebook feed to my page. I do this every day. Doesn't seem to work. I can't get a handle on staying organized enough. And then I was having such a fascinating time talking to you about, what we're going to talk about here in a minute with the Golden Years Project and how that ties into some other stats that we found in other countries and in the U.S. And I forgot to share the feed to my page. So while I'm doing that, now, if you'd love to grace us with an explanation of what the Golden Years Project is and how it started, I find it fascinating and a bit frightening, actually, that we have to do this.
Well, it is frightening, Chef Patrick. The Golden Years Project is, or was inspired back in October of 2018 of this last year. And, 2018 of this last year. Yeah, okay.
It's okay. It was a long year. It felt like a decade, didn't it?
I think I might need some of this deep Ellum you got sitting here behind
we
me.
got a large choice at the break. I'll get some glasses.
Okay, sounds good. So back in October, I was attending a national conference with my company, and the vice president of marketing was speaking to us and giving us some statistics on what to expect in the upcoming years and kind of, what the company's going to be doing and what we're going to see with the elderly people or the seniors in this country. And it was astonishing to learn that, or devastating, actually, to learn that we're going to have our senior population is going to double within a short 7-year period. Right now in the United States, we have 327 million Americans. I'm sorry, population, not Americans. I'm sorry, because we come from everywhere. But
yeah, and some of us from better places than other.
Absolutely. So
myself, I'm not sure where I come from, but I've enjoyed the journey.
Where are you from?
Man, I was born in upstate New York. I grew up between there and Arizona. Went from there to Germany, back to Arizona, to Japan.
I loved Arizona. I lived there for about 7 years.
Where were you?
Tucson.
Okay.
And Casa Grande area.
I went to Chandler Junior High School and went to ASU for part of my college years.
Arizona is absolutely one of the most beautiful places. If you've never lived there,
oh my God,
or been there, you got to go.
There's more coastline in Arizona with the rivers and lakes than there is in California. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's awesome. The chain of lakes from, what do you have at the lowest? You have Saguaro Lake, and then Canyon Lake, and then something else. There's Roosevelt. I mean, they kind of get bigger as they go upwards, but it's awesome. It's such a beautiful state.
I know we got off on a tangent, but you probably still want to hear about the Golden Years.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hey, yeah.
That was all me.
It's appropriate though because Arizona is a huge retirement state.
It is absolutely.
And all my friends and family out there. So my mother, really quick, I'll digress a little bit.
Sure.
We moved to Arizona because of her health concerns from New York. She had asthma. And so we moved there after my father died. I was about 12, 13. But so that was part of the goal. But financially, it was a struggle the entire time that she was in, because she was unhealthy. She didn't have good health.
Tucson's on the list of the top 10 places in the world to live for your health.
Yep. Well,
or Arizona.
It was very good in Phoenix, except for one thing. They planted all these olive trees, right? Olive trees are one of the highest pollinating plants, and a lot of people would retire to those dry climates for asthma or other breathing conditions, which was my mother. She had severe chronic asthma. It was actually almost worse in Arizona than it was in New York. So, but anyway, I digress. So back to the the cause at hand.
Okay, so it was at that conference that and it was just really weird. I got this. I felt like the Lord just put something in my heart right then and there. Every hair in my body stood up, and said, "Jamie, you got to do something about this. Actually, it's happening right now." And I said,
Yeah.
and I said, I kind of looked up at the corner of my eye and I said, "Yeah, Lord, but what?" I have no idea what to do. So it was just amazing after a lot of prayer, and being in silence with the Lord or in peace with Him, that this Golden Years Project has just taken on a life of its own. And now we've got the nonprofit started, and we've got a clear vision. But let me tell you what the purpose of this project, and it's pretty significant, is with the amount of elderly persons that are the amount of people that will be retiring here over the next 7 years, and 1/3 of the entire United States population is going to be seniors with an average age of 70. So that's 90 million seniors. We only have 45 million right now. So we're not going to, our infrastructure is not capable of handling this.
No.
So the housing market right now, especially in affordable housing, waiting lists are already 2, 3, 4, and currently I'm a property manager. I manage 2 properties, and we have a 5 to 7 year wait list on one of them.
Wow.
And on the other one, we have a 3-year wait list. So, when this many people are retiring, and if you look at the statistics on the HUD.gov website, the 21% of all married couples are only going to have Social Security as their income.
So these were the stats we spoke about last week, right? Well, you came in. So just so you know, I met Jamie last week. Our VP of Sales, Tom, had spoken to you, and we didn't get to meet you as a group because we were in our board meeting. So Tom spoke to you privately, took some notes, and then brought me into the conversation because I was going to be here the evening that you want to come by and tour the studios, and we are going to talk about putting a show up. And basically, the show is about. It's promoting what you're doing. It's a show with various content, obviously, but this is the pet project. This is the goal.
Yes.
And when we started talking about these stats, right, that what percentage now are going to be living on just Social Security?
Okay, so of married couples, will be 21% just on their Social Security, which
and that average income is
$2,600 per month, $1,300 average
per person. So you get about $28,000 per year.
And well, what's really scary is 43% of individuals are only going to have an average of $1,300 a month, which is their Social Security check.
Yeah, so you think for a couple, it's about $27,000 a year for a couple to live. Now, even if you have low end rent, I mean, even in this area, look, Haltom City is not the fanciest place in the world. Right, it's not, but you can't get a place around here for under $800. No, that's just their base rent.
That's base rent, $800.
Utilities nearly $200.
Yeah, and if you have any kind of a car payment, insurance, you got to eat. So what do you do?
Yeah, and then if you assisted living is even more than that. I mean, that takes everything.
So the point here, Patrick, is that the United States is looking at another major crisis, and there's just going to be massive elderly homelessness, and if we don't do something right now. So what Golden Years Project is committed to do is to fight this crisis head on. They call it the silver tsunami. So if anybody wants to Google the silver tsunami, you'll find all kinds of stuff out there. A lot of media is talking about it in their, locally, but they haven't stepped it up to the national platform for some reason, or national stage, or maybe just nobody's connected the dots yet.
Well, I mean, so here's one of the other things I found fascinating. My mother, she was ill most of my life. She got asthma, chronic asthma, was diagnosed with that just a few months after my birth. I don't know if I blame myself for that, but she was only tested for allergies right after my birth, and then immediately the symptoms of asthma showed up, and so it was chronic. I mean, it was severe chronic asthma. So she's probably spent a third of my adult life, at least 25% of my childhood and adult life till she passed, physically in the hospital or under the direct care of a physician 24/7 in some way, or under the direct care of some medical professional in some way, shape, or form 25% of my life. Okay. So I understand the financial burden, the physical burden, the mental toll it takes. And that was for a family. That was my sister and I and my mother and sometimes my other two sisters flying out from other various locations or living with us for a period of time to help take care of her. And I mean, it literally, as a family, it crushed us financially. I mean, and we had all sorts of subsidies and financial assistance.
There's all things, no matter how well you plan, there's any one little disaster or crisis in your family can wipe you out. So
absolutely.
I've seen millionaires become paupers the next day.
Well, and then, so what I found fascinating, I was talking about the home care. And so this, the follow-up care, like wound care you were talking about. This is what I found sadly interesting. You were saying that a lot of these, you work in tandem with a home health care provider, which is?
Yes.
We can give them a shout out.
Okay.
Look, well, we don't give much free advertising. We'll give a little.
Okay. So
if you want to,
Claris is a home health care company with a multitude of services. Lorena's been, she's our marketing person, and she's just been absolutely amazing. But she did share a story with me very recently that when we were discussing the Golden Years project, and she said, Jamie, it's already begun, and I see it because our company, when people get released out of the hospital, like after surgery or whatever, and they need continued wound care, we have clients that we have to go out and meet them at their car in Walmart parking lot.
And because that's where they reside.
That's where they reside. And my first thought was, what about shelter? And their response was, well, everything she owns is in that car, and she's worried about somebody breaking in and taking it. Well,
in shelters, I've volunteered a lot of shelters over the years, a bunch in Houston, the biggest ones you can think of, and the smaller ones you don't. But they're not necessarily, they can be scary places, right? They're, even the Star of Hope, that's a big facility down in Houston. It's in a bad neighborhood. You can only get in there from a certain time. You can't leave, before a certain time in the morning. You can't come in after a certain time at night. And you're right. What are you going to leave your car parked around the corner where it might get towed, or someone might break in and take everything you own? But yeah, and you're in that, you're stuck. You're like in the purgatory of the housing world, right? You don't have enough money to move in anywhere. Like you said, you also told me that maybe they have a strike somewhere. Maybe they lived in another facility at some point, an apartment or something where they couldn't afford it. They had to move out. They broke a lease. Now there's a red flag, so they can't qualify somewhere else.
Well, what we're seeing a lot is persons that are currently renting, and with the rental market the way it is currently, rentals are on the demand or in high demand, so they keep going up every year, $50, $75, $100. And for someone on a fixed income of, say, $1,200 or $1,300, it's just not going to cut it for them. So they've got to make some decisions or move, and they're not having a place to go to.
I want to talk about a couple of other stats. I mean, this is not. I became interested because I look at food stats all the time. Food deserts, food crises, shortages. The facts behind senior hunger in the United States for 2019. I'm not I know I tease my more liberal friends. Look, I'm not a complete heartless person. I really, food is life. If you can't eat, you can't live. And so there are a lot of critical missions in this world. And when you see these celebrity chefs around the world, like Jose Andres and all these other wonderful people, taking the time to go to, they fed 1 million people in a week in Puerto Rico privately with only private funds, just gifted funds. That was 10 times more than actually was 5 times more than all of the other relief organizations put together that helped in Puerto Rico. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and they continue to feed people there. But then you also have guys like Massimo Bottura, who I think he has the best restaurant in the world. Have you seen?
Is that the gentleman that his wife just got caught up in that scandal?
I don't know. Oh no, Mario Batali?
No,
Well, he got caught up in one.
Laura Laughlin
I'll have to look it up. Well, so let me talk about him real quick. He has the best restaurant in the world, right, in Italy, I believe, and he's been ranked 2 out of the last 3 years. He's been the number 1 in the world. But when they had the Olympics in Brazil, in Rio, he went down and he helped run the kitchens there, and they took all the excess food every day and they set up these temporary soup kitchens all around, and they fed hundreds of thousands of people, literally over the course of of the duration of the Olympics. So there was like zero waste.
And when was this?
That was and when they had the Olympics in Rio a couple of years ago, the Summer Olympics.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, that I look at that, and these are not just trends; these are people doing good work, right? It's necessary.
It's absolutely necessary. And if we don't do it, who's going to? So
I started looking at these stats, and that's why what you saw, what you brought, the last week to talk to me about, so senior hunger is costing the U.S. about $130 billion a year.
I didn't know that.
130. So that's we're not just this is food shortages aren't just a physical shortage of food in the body. They cause all sorts of it wreaks havoc with depression, stress. Mental despair, right? And then they need to be treated for that. And not only that, the cost of feeding the elderly, Meals on Wheels, right? Meals on Wheels has a huge facility right down the street. Now, I want to go down and talk to them. I'd like to know how their business model and the demands of the elderly.
There's actually a waiting list.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? A waiting list for Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels has been around forever, and I would like to know though how. Not necessarily negatively, but how has that changed over the last 15 or 20 years? And what has that impact been financially for the organization to try and figure it out? And then also, what are the logistical problems and challenges they're seeing? Are there people they can't reach that do live in vehicles that they know about? But there's no way to treat. There's no way to help them. I mean, it's a crazy thing in Japan. I told you about what's happening in Japan.
Yeah, that was interesting.
There's a word for this in Japan for elderly people that commit crimes so they can go to prison because they're lonely or they don't have enough money to survive, and it's actually it's crazy. I'm going to tell you some stats here. I'll give you an example. There's a gentleman who was it 1997? Okay, so a couple of years ago. About, I guess, 10 years ago, he was 69. His name is Toshio Takada. He was a blue-collar worker, and he broke the law because he wanted to go somewhere to live free of charge. Okay, this is a guy, he'd reached pension age, and then he said he ran out of money. He goes, so it occurred to him, maybe I could live for free if I go to jail. So he took a bicycle, rode it to the police station, and told the guy there, look, I took this. Which is odd because in Japan, actually, when you take a bicycle that's unlocked at the train station, it's called fair game. You leave it at the next place and the next person takes it. But he rode it there and they arrested him. They put him in jail for a year. And then he spent most of the last 10 years behind bars recommitting the same offenses. Because
so he could have shelter.
Well, yeah, so he can have a place to eat because his pension doesn't cover his costs. Japan is a very expensive place to live. The number one crime that Japanese elderly are convicted of is shoplifting for food.
Wow.
Because it's very expensive. And if of the 2,500, the 2,500 over 65 pensioners that were convicted by the courts in 2016, 1 in 3, 33%, had at least 5 previous convictions. But only after they were 65.
After they were age 65. Wow, that's amazing.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
And it's just, I mean, this is not the only country that things like this are happening in. The financial burden on elderly, whether it's lack of planning or whether it's lack of the proper social structure to support them. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And it's concerning. It's very concerning to me to know that population is going to double in the next 4 years.
Well, and that's a good thing that Golden Years Project has a plan.
Exactly.
Because our solution to this crisis is we need to raise enough funds so that we can subsidize seniors where they're currently living. That way they don't end up on the street and in these poor living conditions that's just going to spiral downhill until their demise. So, our goal is to be able to subsidize them where they're currently at on a temporary or interim basis. And once they come up on their name comes up on a waiting list, at an affordable housing community, a HUD property, then they'll move into that program and they'll come off of ours. But the other part of our solution is we intend to acquire and construct, do some new building of some multifamily properties specifically for this.
So I'm wondering if there's some other ways to monetize these facilities once you do have people dwelling there. Just something we could talk about later, but just thinking as a consulting, like ways to leverage the greatest asset you're going to have, and that's going to be their knowledge base. So it might be something where we could maybe work on a plan to help become a self-sustainable program.
Well, actually, I think once enough funds are raised and the proper money management is put into place, then it'll be self-sufficient.
Oh, cool. Well, then you can just hire me and consult with you. No,
of course, though, as we start to solve some issues, we'll come across other issues, and we'll always need more funding. But at some point, the program itself would be self-sufficient.
So I had another idea. Okay, it's a little off the wall, but if you put these, if we can find these structures that these residences and put them in places with maybe a high population of feral cats, I could set up a soup kitchen to deliver a little cat stew. No, I'm just joking. I'm sorry. That's a terrible joke. I'm trying to make light of a situation that's it's frightening. It really is. Look. If you look at the financial state of most families in this country, even young families, they have less than $2,000 in the bank. It's a large percent, 20-something%, I believe, of the United States population has less than a single paycheck or a month's worth of pay in the bank.
Wow, I just couldn't even.
Frightening.
Yeah, it's very scary.
Yeah, that's why I live at the studios. No. Anyway, so we have lots more to talk about. Are you going to stay over for a little bit? Because,
I'll stay as long as you'll let me.
15 seconds. No, just okay. We did talk about the restaurant industry. I want to talk about your story, the one big experience you had and how you ended up owning a restaurant. Not intentionally.
Oh, my nightmare?
Yeah. Well, hey, everybody's got to eat, and some people got to feed them, and sometimes we both lose. So we'll talk. Let's not go into details yet because it was kind of interesting how you ended up with the restaurant. But again, tell people how to find out about the Golden Years Project and how they might help once they find you.
You can go to www.goldenyearsproject.org and you just check out our page. We actually there's two ways you can support us. One is by donating. You can make a recurring monthly donation, $1, $2, $5, $10, whatever's less than your Netflix account. I pay for my Netflix account. I don't even know it's gone until it's, months later. Oh, they've been taking that out.
Well, look, a cup of Starbucks coffee a day is at least $4, right? So
exactly. And the other way to support us is we do have an online store. With a few products. The store's growing. There's going to be more products added, but I think you'll be excited to kind of look at the things that are there.
So I think, and as your show launches, we're going to talk. We won't talk too much about that today. Did you get the name down?
Well, I think we were going to go something along with. We had a couple things on the table, but I didn't. We didn't come to any specific conclusions.
Well, we'll talk about that. Well, I hope maybe I can help you narrow the name down. But I guarantee you it will be very interesting and entertaining and insightful, information that comes out in your podcast. It'll be launching soon on Spoony. It's going to be a weekly show, and I'm really looking forward to it. You have a very interesting personal story, and just the way that you're tying that all into A, the project, and B, the show is going to be fascinating. So stay tuned. We'll tell you more about that as it happens. In the meantime, did you know that today is National California Strawberry Day? It took me a minute to figure that out. National California Strawberry Day. Okay, well, because California is the biggest producer of strawberries, it's actually kind of cool. When you drive up it's 5.
Are they blue?
Yeah. Oh my God. Did you hear that podcast?
No, I did not. I just don't know if they're blue strawberries.
No. So I did. I got it because of the blue state. Okay. Yeah. No. So I spoke about why do places have blue raspberry drinks? There's no such thing as a freaking blue raspberry. You can buy a blue raspberry snow cone. You get blue raspberry slushy or whatever they call that thing.
Well, I was snowed. I thought there were such thing as blue raspberries. Got the snow cone.
All right. So, look, I want to talk about the California strawberries. Actually, it's weird because they grow them right along the highway. The 5 if you live in California. It's just Interstate 5 if you don't. You'd think they taste a little more like a car exhaust than they do, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter and Food Biz
All right.
Pro.
Yeah, Food Biz Pro right here. Come on back in a minute. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
It looks like you're losing.
All right, Doc's going to talk. Bye.
Weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone. RADUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism, so you're burning more.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
All right, well, we're back now. Sorry. Hey, Ron, just throw something at me through the glass. I'm sorry. All right, so, we have a new automation software, which Ron is, he's just a badass at doing all that stuff. I probably touched a button and screwed something up. It's okay. I should have been listening. I took my headset off. I should know better. So anyway, we're back. Chef Patrick Mosher. We have Jamie Anderson in house from the Golden Years Project and also from National Church Residences here. We're talking about the there's coming crisis, the silver tsunami. With this not just a possibility, but the reality of a lot of elderly, homeless elderly, which is gonna become a crisis. It's not. I think it's probably already at crisis levels now. We just aren't aware of it.
Well, if actually there's a location or there's a link on the website is in the news. There's a lot of news articles that you can click on there. It'll give you a lot of information about that as well.
Well, that'll work. So. I didn't mean to okay, that'll work. No, look, it's a great cause. Come on, man. It's retirement age plus people.
Well, here's the deal. This could have been my mom. Mm-hmm. Actually, it was almost my mom. It could be your dad, your mother, your aunt, uncle, grandmother. Mm-hmm. I mean, actually, right now, there's people out there that are homeless, and there's somebody's parents or grandparents. And what's really sad, and this is why I respect the Hispanic culture so much, is they take care of their elderly. Japan is the same. They have a lot of multi-generational households in Japan as well. But not everyone has family, and actually I've got, being in the industry that I'm in property management, I get a lot of applicants that they absolutely refuse to live with their children. They said, I made the rules the entire time when they were young. I am not going to abide by their rules. Really? One of the most important things to an elderly person is their independence. So that's interesting. That's fiercely... Yeah, you'll be surprised at the positions they'll put themselves in
I don't
just
even
to keep their independence. I mean, what they don't, even if they have mobility issues, they don't care. They want to live on their own. They want to, pay their own bills if they can still. I mean, of course, there's situations where their kids have to eventually step in and get a power of attorney and, take over things. But.
All right, so I'm going to talk about that for a second. We'll go into the other conversation we're going to have. I call this pride over profit, right? It is, really.
No. I was just thinking to myself. The last thing we're talking about was blue strawberries.
Oh, well, we'll talk about. No, they have white strawberries out of Japan, though. I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Okay.
But the so pride over profit, right? We both been in the restaurant industry. You not by choice, right? Well, you were by choice an owner who ended up being a partner. Then you became the owner operator. Operator being the key word, which went dishwasher to cook to cashier to sell the damn business. But pride over profit, right? It's the so I've consulted with so many businesses that have been around for 20, 25, 30 years, and they were very successful. But then the demographic, the target market changed. The town grew up. Competition came along. You can't use the same old business model with the same old restaurant with the same old paper plates. It just doesn't work. People didn't want it. But they didn't evolve with the times. And that doesn't mean change your concept. It means refine your concept, raise the bar, or don't degrade the concept and lower the bar, right? So you have to maintain that consistency or increase quality as you go along, as the challenges become more and more apparent. But a lot of people are like, oh, man, before you came along for 30 years, I did just fine, man. It's all good. I can serve, Skip's Barbecue just like it is. And that maybe you might be able to, but there's 16 other barbecue places around here. So you have to have a better price, a better quality, or better service. There's only 3 ways to get money. Better, or cheaper. Right? But cheaper doesn't usually make you any money. Not if you're already in existence. Cheaper just closes you faster or prolongs the death so you bleed a slower, longer, more painful death. So this pride over profit thing, we're like, you know what? I did fine for 30 years. I'll make it. It's like, okay, but the last 6 years you've lost $100,000 a year. You have no retirement left. You're on the brink of bankruptcy. You'd rather lose the restaurant than try to maybe take off one of the 6 pages of menu items you have, or streamline your production processes, or actually monitor your costs and receive your own product so that your guys aren't selling stuff out the back door. You'd rather do that, right, than actually keep your restaurant.
Or put a camera over the register.
But it's this whole thing. There's this pride that goes with it, with building something and owning something, right? But the thing is, when your pride overshadows your desire to be a profitable business, because this is business, and I get it, maybe a family business, maybe something you inherited from your family. This goes for almost every business.
Well, I think that just has to, people get just stuck in their ways, and change is hard for humans, period.
Well, but change is the only constant, man. The only thing you can ever guarantee, death, taxes, and change. That's the only thing, the only 3 things in life.
That's right.
That's it.
If you don't stay innovative.
Well, yeah, and also, if you're not growing, you're dying. How many people, I've met so many people who have had a restaurant for 15 years, they've never eaten another place around them, or rarely. Now, there are other places that have been extremely successful by doing that and staying engaged in the community. But look, it's a painful process to accept the fact that you have to adapt. Whether it's a marketing strategy,
adapt and overcome,
a hiring strategy. I know people, a lot of companies I've seen and I've worked with, they'll go from a single restaurant in a single town. They'll typically open up a second restaurant in an adjacent community. And they'll do well for a while, but what they do is to open that second location, they take all their key players from location 1, they dilute the labor pool here. So location 2 does good, right?
And location
for a
2
while,
usually looks a little better too.
It's always fresher looking, isn't it? Because it's newer, fresher. The other one's been around for 20 years, and they've never they're never renovated. But now you have the B team and Part C team running location A, which is your flagship store. You've taken your general manager, your kitchen, your kitchen manager, and your best dishwasher and your best server, and put them in location 2. They don't want to come back because they're making more money. Now location 1 starts to suffer. Okay.
This is sounding awfully familiar with a restaurant that I worked at when I was 14 called Cinnamon's in Athol, Massachusetts.
Really?
Yes. The main store, or their first store, was Athol, Massachusetts. A place called Cinnamon's. I loved working there. I was 14 years old.
What kind of food was it?
It was it was in New England, so we had a very broad menu. things from burgers and fries to crab rolls and lobster rolls and, you know, fish and chips and steaks and shrimp. I mean, it was pretty much all over the board type of diner. But, I mean, the food was awesome. It was amazing. They had clam strips and clam rolls. And
I love clam strips, man.
I like clam rolls. I like the whole belly clams versus the strips.
Well, I like them both, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not too big on the strips for some reason. But anyway, you know, what you're saying is completely reminding me about this time in my life when I was a teenager. And I was a dishwasher at Cinnamon's restaurant. And, you know, just like you said, and 5 miles away, he built another restaurant. And it was prettier, it was bigger, had his best staff over there.
And it drew some of the other clientele to the new location.
It drew everybody over there.
Yep. Well, you know, then you know what you need at the location number one is a better happy hour, right? And some. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, you can only get that at the old place, man. We don't have that kind of fryer. Whatever you got to make up, but you know.
And the new place had a bar, so
see that. Then it's kind of hard to have a happy hour at the other place without the bar. But you have to get innovative with that. I mean, what happened to location number one?
Well, they've actually location 2 closed down before location 1 in this instance.
But did the whole thing close down eventually?
They did. Well, you know, they're in their probably 80s now, but yeah, they ended up closing everything down. And
yeah, did they sell or just close?
I honestly don't know. I didn't keep up.
So what happens? A single restaurant is about managing relationships, one-on-one relationships, right? Typically, a single unit facility, one person can kind of from top down manage everything, right? Or manage the players. The problem is you get stuck in a rut. You end up working in the business instead of on the business, and you hear that from most independent business operators and owners. If they have They've opened a business. Now they finally start to grow it, but now they're stuck in the business. They're the CFO, the CEO, the president, the manager, the GM. I mean,
sometimes the chef,
sometimes they're the salesman. Right? It doesn't. Regardless of what business you play, you have to wear all hats because
the roles, so
you've made yourself, such a kingpin by not delegating. Right. But now, if you put systems in place, first train and cross train. Once you do that, then that frees you up. Right. And you may have to, you don't always have to have a GM there to run a restaurant. If you're the owner, proprietor, general manager, you just have a shift manager who could be a server who's very good, understands the business. You just pay them an extra $3 an hour or $5 an hour, whatever. You pay them $12 an hour for the 4 shifts a week they're going to work as the manager of that store while you go off and take care of other business like business events, networking, those kind of things that you need to be out of the restaurant for or hands off in the restaurant for. You have a cell phone. It's okay.
Actually, that's why most mom and pop businesses fail is because, people, let's take for a plumber, for example, or it can be a restaurant either, mom makes excellent food, the best in the neighborhood, best in the city, town. And next thing you know, so I want a restaurant. I've always wanted a restaurant. And you get in a restaurant, but you don't know accounting and marketing and
how much insurance costs, and the fact that you have to, So if you're in New York City, you got to pay the trash man that is not the trash man. You got to pay the mafia to get the trash man to show up with a paper bag on the counter every Monday morning with your back turned. I mean, I'm serious. No, you think I'm joking, dude?
No, I hear you.
Yeah, and look, Jay, my friends in New York, please don't hunt me down for telling you that. But I mean, I'm serious.
I was smiling because I was just kind of curious. It's like, those ladies that always come around selling tamales? I wonder what their profit margins look like.
Depends on how big the bag of money you leave on the counter. No, just checking. Yeah. Well, they don't have to pay insurance. Hey, I was entrepreneurial. When I was in high school, we used to go to the movie theaters. They had the midnight movies in Mesa, Arizona, near Fiesta Mall. And we would go and we'd buy pizzas and then wrap the pieces individually while they were still hot in tin aluminum foil, put them in a cooler and sell them outside the movies because all the kids were drunk. And they go to the movies and they come out and be like, I'm hungry. It's 2:40 in the morning. Where are you going to go to get food? Nowhere. And so we do that. Breakfast, like little burritos.
When you say all the kids were drunk, what was the age group?
Well, there wasn't much to do in the summertime in Arizona.
You're in the desert.
It was still 100 degrees at 9 o'clock at night. So, but anyway, I digress. Back to what we were talking about. Restaurants are a little different than the other businesses, right? Because at least in the other businesses, if you are moderately successful, you started out as a one-man show in a trade, and then you grew your business. But then, if the economy has a big downturn, you just fire everyone, sell off some of the equipment, and go back to doing drywall yourself. If you're a restaurant owner, though, now you have a location that needs a minimum of 7 people to run it. You need 2 in the kitchen, 4 on the floor, 1 at the door, and then you, or whatever it happens to be, kind of managing. What happens, though, if there's a downturn in the economy and your sales go down 40%? Your overhead's fixed, right? The food still costs the same. You're not sure how many you're going to serve. You're praying and hoping every day that you serve 3 times what you did yesterday. So you can't downscale the food too much.
So what do you do?
You know what? You put as much money into marketing as you can. All right. You make the restaurant as self-sufficient as possible and go out and drag people in. You network, you market, you find alternative niches. You start catering. Right? You go to every business in town and say, hey, you know what? We just started a catering division. I know you guys have weekly meetings. You know what? I'll drop you off a sample tray next week. Is that okay? I'll bring you some cookies and maybe just some sandwiches. See if you like them. All right. And by the way, I have a special going on this month. So if you one of the first guests in the door, to try us out, we'll give you a 15% discount. Something, anything. But you just don't cross your fingers and hope and then just cut. You can't. Now, you can't overspend either. You have to maintain and monitor, but you have to look for niches to grow into.
That reminds me of the drive-through that the guy ordering, after he takes your order, he runs down to the other window to take your money and deliver your food.
Yeah, so there's actually there's a great movie, and I love these kind of trivial movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. There's a movie called Local Hero with Susan Sarandon, no, not Susan Sarandon. What's his name? There's a guy goes to Ireland anyway, or Scotland, and he's supposed to buy a city that's on the coast, and he's there on behalf of I forgot I'll look up the actor's name in a minute. But he was in Atlantic City with Susan Sarandon, and he sends him there to buy this town because and it's a big oil company owner. So the guy goes there and he goes down to the pub and he's like, hey, I'm looking for the mayor of the town, so and so. The guy's like, yeah, here, have a pint. Hey, yeah, he's upstairs to the 3rd floor and across, and he's right there. And he's like, okay, thanks. So he makes his way up the stairs and he finally gets over, and as he gets in, he knocks on the door. He says, come in. And he walks in the door, and the guy's like, he's tightening his tie. It's the same guy that was a bartender downstairs. He's like, how are you? I'm mayor, blah, 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 blah. And it's that kind of town, like a one-horse town. No stoplights,
right?
That kind of a thing. But yeah, you do everything, and you can't all the time. But when there's a downturn,
it's an impossibility, actually.
It is. But the thing is, if you don't have the systems in place, which is what I'm going to talk about, then to free yourself up to grow the business, to work on the business and not in the business from the start, it's really hard to do later on, because like I said, one location is about relationship management. 2 places or more, when you start to become a regional presence or a chain, then you're talking now about systems and having the systems to operate, be efficient, increase profitability, and identify where you're not profitable, right? Not just to increase profitability, but identify those opportunities that you're missing or that you're wasting, where you're spending money you shouldn't be. Like people don't use their POS systems. People don't know how to program it. People don't look at the reports.
And maybe on your more popular dishes go up a few cents, a dime or so, a quarter.
I'll give you an example of that. Right there's a restaurant in Houston. Think of it in a minute. Oh man, it's Robert Del Grande's restaurant. It's a great restaurant. It's been there for a long time. They have this pecan crusted chicken. Right, it was their #1 seller for ever and ever and ever. And it's a great restaurant. It's been there 20 years. They hated making it. Right. It's one of their stars of their menu. They just wanted to finally get it off the menu and do something new. Well, they couldn't. So they tried to price it off the menu. Eventually, it was like $25 for this pecan crusted chicken breast. But what they did is they realized people would eat it no matter what price. So they just kept raising the price, and they learned to embrace that and understand that, hey, yes, we're a very fine dining restaurant, but if people want pecan, because it was great. It's like
and
buttermilk
home of the pecan crusted chicken.
Oh man, it's why can I not remember the name of it? A friend of mine was general manager for a long time. Anyway,
where's it located? Like in Houston?
It's on. It's not on Montrose. It's on what's the one before Montrose? Going west.
Okay.
Going west, like it runs north and south like Montrose does.
Okay. Like let's see,
Shepherd,
Montrose,
maybe on Shepherd as you go down through West Gray, and there's a corner. It's right there where West Gray and Shepherd meet. It's on the left hand. It's an old house they converted into a restaurant. It is the. I'm sure somebody. I'm not even looking at Facebook, so if you've put it down, I'll find it in a minute though. But anyway, back to your story, right? So you invested in a restaurant.
Well, actually, my uncle and some investors invested in a restaurant.
Yes. Okay.
So
yes.
Well, I put a business plan together. Well, here's basically what happened.
How long ago was this?
This was in 2012.
Okay.
So about 7 years ago. My best friends, of course, most of my friends are seniors or retired at least. And I don't know, they're more satisfying relationships, I guess.
Maybe not.
Well, I learned more from them, and then they get to spoil me. So
there you go.
It's like, you can never have enough grandma and grandpas. So
I'm just inviting people. I'm listening. I'm just making sure we get some more people watching.
So says the prince. So we were just really close friends, and she was Filipino, and her husband was white, and not that had anything to do with it, but
sure. No, yeah.
But they were just,
those white people and Filipino people. I mean, come on.
Well, she might have been
They're all
mail
very
order
nice.
bride. I'm just kidding.
They're all very friendly.
So, oh God, I just had a bad joke going through my head.
No. We're not on this station. We can say anything we want over there. Not on this channel. Later.
I'm just so glad that I went and sucked it back in.
Reel it back in.
So, anyway.
Hey, folks, we have a lot of fun here. This is live radio. None of this is scripted. We just had a couple bullet points to talk about, mostly the Golden Years Foundation, the Golden Years Project. And, it's not always food talk. Sometimes it's just BS and, 50-year-old men acting like 12-year-old boys. Because we got to have fun, too.
I'm in.
I don't laugh enough. I don't. Oh, my God. I take myself a little too serious. I scold my listeners. Like, if I don't get I shut down the internet last week, right? I shut down Facebook. I told them if I don't get 1,000 views, I was going to boycott the show. But I didn't know how to boycott the show, so I just shut down Facebook.
Didn't you get like 40,000?
Yeah, wishful thinking. Yeah, no, but hey, I'm holding everybody to that. I say I'm going to boycott the show again tomorrow. I won't, but come on, help me get 1,000 views. It's not that many, Really, you gotta. If everybody asked one other person to just shut up and watch it for 3 seconds,
is that what it takes? Is 3 seconds?
Yeah, if everybody did that, I'd be at like 14, 16, 1,800. It's not that hard. Anyway,
well, let's see what it clears today.
Yeah. Well, you'll push this out later on your social media feeds. I'll probably get like 8,000.
Well, I'm not that popular.
That's okay. All right. Well, okay. Back to the story. So,
I forgot what I was saying.
So your uncle and some investors, you put the business plan together, and they bought a restaurant.
Yes, and
it was a Chinese.
I built out the restaurant too.
Okay. And so the proprietor, the actual operators, were this couple.
They were the couple. She was the head of the kitchen and the recipes, anything to do with the food, and he was the general manager. And my responsibility, I was just going to keep the books and anything administrative that didn't have anything to do with the restaurant, because I've worked in restaurants as a kid and I knew how messy it was, and plus I had a day job.
Yeah, that made money.
Well, I was still in property management.
Gotcha. So then what happened? So what happened that forced you to end up being the proprietor, operator, do it all kind of hat wearing guy? You don't have to tell these circumstances.
Well,
there were some inappropriate behaviors by the gentleman of the couple that led.
Well, she didn't actually know anything about it.
That's okay, but it just led to some financial disparity for the restaurant.
It did, and then so I ended up buying them out.
Okay.
Dumb.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20. But
always, yeah.
I bought them out, and worst thing I did, I should have let them buy me out, because now I had a day job and a restaurant to run.
Yeah.
I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. It's like I can see clearly now the restaurant's gone. Yeah. Now that's all behind me,
I'll probably live 10 years longer.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm telling you, it has taken a physical toll, a mental toll, an emotional toll on me over the years, but it is a fun industry.
It is great. It is fun. I'll never forget how much fun I had when I as a kid working there at the restaurant.
So, as the owner operator, chief cook and bottle washer, general manager, CFO, CEO, and proprietor to this here establishment,
I learned how to cook Chinese food.
I was going to say I can't say it with a Chinese accent because then I'd be considered racist. But I can mock the Southern because I live here and they'll just kick my ass if they get tired of it.
I'm almost afraid to joke about anything these days.
You know what? Like I told you,
racist.
Hey, lighten up. Don't take yourself so serious. Tell as many jokes about Irish French Native Americans as you want because that won't offend me. And you know what? I gave up for Lent bitching about other people. So just quit your bitching. Enjoy Lent, whether you're practiced or not. And just be nice. Lighten the hell up, man. Don't
take yourself so serious.
Either go out or buy a sense of humor. Because I'm tired of people saying, "What did you mean by that?" I mean I didn't like rice. Doesn't mean I don't like Chinese people.
If you can buy a sense of humor, then I think I know what business I'm going in.
Oh, dude, yeah. That and time in a bottle, I'd be rich. You remember the song? Jim Croce?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So back to, eventually you got things maintained. What did you hate most about operating the restaurant? Or what did you like most, and then what were the most unpleasant? Displeasant? Is displeasant even a word? It should be. It sounds good.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Webster.
Oh, my God. I can't even think in English anymore.
Some of the, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so
oh, no wonder you bought the restaurant. You couldn't help yourself.
That basically, I love when it's busy and you're just like kind of balls to the wall, just doing everything, just at the wok and getting rice and getting chicken and filling up the steam tables and
you know what, cooking with a wok is so cool.
It's the best.
You had the hand wok though, the high wok.
We had the high gas woks.
Okay, so
the big woks.
Oh, the big ones,
the huge ones.
You operate with your knee then?
No.
Okay.
Just two big spatula type things, metal spats.
Well, no, the gas flow. Okay, so the Thai woks are a little lower, right? The big Southeast Asian woks they're 200,000 BTUs per wok. To give you an idea what that is, the largest burner on a gas range is typically 20,000 BTU. So it's got two burner rings on it, but that one wok it's the equivalent of a little over 10 standard, but there's 250,000 BTUs. It's crazy. Sounds like a jet engine. But you control the lever on the lower ones. You control the heat with your knee because it's low because you have to cook with both hands.
You were talking about the heat.
The gas.
Okay, yeah.
I used to wear I worked at this place called Hi Ricky Asian Cafe. They were based out of Chicago, and it was like this Thai, Indonesian, Malaysian. They had this street food that was awesome. But we took the concept from Chicago and we made a full service sit down concept in Houston. It's called Hi Ricky Asian Cafe, and what we did is I was basically the kitchen bitch. I was the kitchen manager, chef, but a lot of nights it was just like everybody calling sick because it was a powder day. I'm going skiing, right? And so it'd be like me and one guy, Guy Tran. This guy he was from Vietnam. He didn't even know how old he was. He was born at a time when his parents got killed, and he didn't know. But he grew up. He came here a little later in life, I think in his 20s. So we had 3 main woks in our cooking area. And if you've ever cooked on those woks, you have basically all your ingredients. Your mise en place is like you have your guilan, your chopped greens and stuff like that, and the bell peppers or onions or whatever you're using. And then you have dozens and dozens of eggs ready to go. And so we only had 3 people in the kitchen. This guy, Paul, I can't remember. I don't remember the last name. You and Karen live in Alaska right now. You're an attorney. You're smart and get out of the business. I'll tell you, he was the coolest young kitchen manager that ever worked for me. What a great guy. I'll look up his name in a minute because I owe him some props. He supported me. But here's what happened. We had 250 reservations. We did over 400 dinners just that night on a Saturday. 3 of us in the kitchen. There were 3 in the actual hot kitchen. We had another portion to the kitchen, like the garde manger, the cold area. And they also did the grill. And one guy could work that area though, because we didn't do the grill was kind of satays, and we did one really cool fillet that was garlic, lemongrass, crusted. Oh, it was awesome. We'll talk about that. But so this guy Tran and I cooked. And Paul did all the plate setup. So every order that came in, we put stuff in pie tins. He would pile the vegetables up with the egg on top. And by looking at what was in the pan, we could tell what noodles and what sauce it got in the wok. So Guy Tran and I cooked 700 plates of food out of that kitchen that night with 2 guys cooking, 1 guy doing setups. In one night, I wore a hole in my pants because you know to the left,
using your knee to
using my
control
knee,
the gas.
yes, to going to the left and up is to raise the temperature, you know, full blast, and going down to the right. And I'm telling you what, I worked one walk. Guy Tran worked 2 walks. Right. I also had to do a little bit of other work, like we had some prep that needed to be done. But it was I'll tell you what, though, it was the most efficient night in a restaurant I've ever seen. We were like we were hauling ass. We only had 2 late tickets the whole night with 3 guys working a 5-man line. It was
that's
crazy.
That's crazy.
It was awesome. It was, anyway, you know, that concept is not around anymore, but if you've lived in Chicago, you may remember the concept. They had one in Bucktown. They had one near the Harpo Studios, and then they had one in, maybe not Highland Park, but it was awesome. It was so much fun. It was my favorite night. It was the hardest night I've ever had in a restaurant physically, but it was my favorite night ever.
You just reminded me of a funny story. I took my ex-boyfriend.
We got time? You gonna stay over to the next segment?
I do need to get back to work.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right. Stay long enough just to tell the story. We'll let you scoot out in just a minute.
Okay, sure.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going to go to break here in about 30 seconds. We got a 4-minute break. You can give us 5 minutes.
All right. Well, I took my ex-boyfriend to New York City, and I told him it was the best Chinese food there was, and because they had this ginger, they deep fried their chicken wings in some kind of ginger.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. They were amazing, but it's been so long since I've been there. I kept taking him to the wrong restaurant. I couldn't remember exactly where it was. And so we stopped at like 3 restaurants on the same block.
You were just bar hopping, admit it. You were just bar hopping, trying to get him drunk. Come on, man. Hey, you got to stick around. You got to go. If you got to go, Jamie, it's been fun.
Yeah, I do got to go.
Thank you very much. Hey, folks, Jamie Anderson, the Golden Years Project. Check it out. Chef Patrick Mosher. I'll be right back in 4 minutes. Thank you.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Historic flooding could soon deluge parts of several southern states along the lower Mississippi River. Holt County Commissioner Tom Bullock says the flooding in northwest Missouri is the worst he's ever seen.
It's a total disaster. All my levees, every levee in my district is topped and destroyed. I have about 44 miles of levee underwater now, and roughly somewhere between 92 and 95,000 acres of farm ground underwater.
Missouri Congressman Sam Graves says the extent of the flooding is staggering.
Whether it's western Iowa, eastern Nebraska, western Kansas, or eastern Kansas or western Missouri, I mean, it's devastating all the way down through.
Rapidly melting snow in the upper Midwest is contributing to flooding that will eventually make its way downstream to the Gulf Coast. President Trump today will sign an executive order to protect free speech on college campuses, acting on an idea he proposed at CPAC earlier this month. The president will order colleges to protect free speech or risk losing federal funding. Also, the president proposing a major U.S. policy change in the Middle East.
The president says it's time to recognize Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Writing on Twitter, he says after 52 years, it is time for the United States to fully recognize Israel's control over what he says is an area of critical strategic and security importance to Israel and stability in the region. The Golan Heights is a disputed area which Israel captured from Syria in 1967. And Prime Minister Netanyahu has been urging the U.S. to recognize Israel's claim to sovereignty. Greg Clugston, the White House.
The New Zealand government announcing a ban on military-style semi-automatic firearms and high-capacity magazines after the mosque attacks last week in Christchurch. On Wall Street, the Dow had 203 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075. Got an old car? You can donate it, whether it's running or not, to the United Breast Cancer Foundation and save a life. They'll even come and pick it up for free. The United Breast Cancer Foundation has saved hundreds of women's lives through their free or low-cost breast screen exams. but now they need your help. The United Breast Cancer Foundation wants to save more lives through early detection by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And donating your old car, SUV, or truck, whether it's running or not, helps pay for them. Plus, you get a charitable tax deduction. Help the United Breast Cancer Foundation save lives by donating your old car, SUV, or truck. Call now for free pickup. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. Call right now. That number again is 800-245-0823.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
And I'm back. Yeah, good, better, ugly. I'm back. I'm back for your entertainment, my entertainment, someone's entertainment. Oh, what's that old line from Top Gun? I crack myself up. I am my own favorite free form of entertainment. And by free, I mean I'm not paying myself any money to sit here. So we got to have sponsors like this great company here, Atrantil, Dr. Kenneth Brown. Oh, by the way, if you missed their show today, all right, I didn't let the cat out of the bag. I was hoping we would have a video feed live on Facebook today. But on Sunday evening, Dr. Kenneth Brown and Eric Rieger, they do the Gut Check Project on Thursdays. They're on from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. to noon on the East Coast, and the other time zones, whatever you figure out. They do a very cool show. And I was actually their guest of honor or their victim of choice. I'm not sure, but it was a very entertaining show. It was the most fun show I've done in a long time. It was fun to be in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat. I love doing my show, but it was fascinating. It was fun. In the second hour, or the last half hour of the second hour, segment 4, there was actually a really fun game that we used. Eric had come up with these terms from the medical industry and the food service industry, and he read off those lists to see if either of us knew the definition of the terms from the other industry. It was very fun. I got stumped a couple of times. Dr. Brown got stumped a couple of times. Anyway, it's the Gut Check Factor. You can go to Spreaker.com, look for Spoony Radio. They're up there. Also, you can go to the Spoony Radio YouTube page, or you can go to, I believe it's the Gut Check Factor YouTube page, and probably, I think it's drkennethbrown.com. I think you can go there. But anyway, he has this fantastic product he's developed. It's for your gut health. As we've come to learn in the last 5 or 10 years, not just our digestive health, but a lot of our physical health, probably most of it actually, is determined by the health of your stomach and your entire digestive tract. So go to lovemytummy.com, read about this great product, Atrantil. If you go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony, then there is a discount that's applied to your purchase. Great people, excellent sponsors, and they have a real fun and funny show. As a matter of fact, the week before, last Thursday, they had a guest on, Sean. I forgot Sean's last name. He is actually from a medical cannabis company up in Missouri, which just went legal for medical cannabis. They own and operate a large growing facility and have a dispensary there. It's a very insightful show. I got to interact a little bit with them, and they talked about medical cannabis, the CBD industry, and as a guest, Sean was fantastic. He was so interesting. This is a gentleman who started out in pharmacology, then switched to the agricultural program, but within that program went to horticulture specifically, and then years later, after being he's a teacher, he's still a teacher, and then he was a principal as well, but then he got into the cannabis, the world of medical cannabis because of the great properties. Look, I'm an advocate for the medical cannabis industry. Everything else is up to you, but fascinating interview. That was last Thursday, so the 14th. But again, if today's show was not broadcast live on Facebook because of the recording, but I'm telling you, go listen to the podcast or go check it out on YouTube. We'll link the video back to the Facebook page, but it was fantastic. It was fun. It was one of the best times I've had in this studio so far. So, all right. I had a request here, Dr. Claude. I'm sorry I have not gotten back to you. Yes, I am sending the NDA back now. I have an exciting project I'm working on. Yes, and here it is. There's this fantastic doctor who's based in Houston, a French woman who's a nutritionist. I mean, she's got I don't know how many PhDs. And titles after her name, but one of the most renowned people in the world of nutrition around the world. And that all happened because it started out because as a young girl in France, she had a lot of digestive issues and food allergies. And over the years, she's developed many programs, but one in particular, she has a book called The Avocado Affair. And we're doing a few revisions to that book. She made some corrections, just minor things, but that should be out soon. And we're going to be publishing the book, and I'll be promoting that through Spoony Radio. Fantastic project, but it's tied to a whole bunch of other things, some retail products, and some are avocado-based, some are honey-based. And in addition to that, there's this whole larger product, which includes, I can't talk about it too much, but let's say it's a health-oriented spa. That's a very large and fully encompassing program for those with specific food allergies. So anyway, look for that. It's coming up soon. The Avocado Affair. And I just need to send this. I'm going to attach, and come on. All right, recents. And signed NDA. There it is. All right. I can send. Choose file. All right. I don't know if you listened to the whole last hour or two, but, or well, I guess last half an hour or two. But our guest, Jamie Anderson, is the founder and director of the Golden Years Project. And even if you don't know what it is, check it out. It's worthwhile. Interesting gentleman. He has had some fun, interesting, and frightening ordeals in the restaurant industry. He spent some time as a young man, and then also later in life as an unintentional owner. But there's a looming housing crisis. It's already happening. There's a looming housing crisis. I'm just inviting people to watch, so don't mind me if I'm not looking at you on the camera. There's a looming housing crisis, right? 45 million seniors in the next 4 years is going to turn into 90 million. That's a full third of our population. That's crazy to think that it's going to double in 4 years. We don't have the infrastructure right now to deal with our aging population, and it's going to double in the next 4 years. Well, they've come up with a way. They have a very solid plan to help provide housing and assistance to those that are going to be affected by this. So it's called the Silver Tsunami. You can look it up. It's quite a big deal. So, all right, let's look back at a little food news. Trey Chapman's up tomorrow, by the way, with Trey's Chat On Live right here on Spoony Radio, or as he calls it, we're at Spoony TV tomorrow. He's going to be in Studio 12, which is this is Studio 1 through 12 right here. Very interesting guy. Trey's got a great history. His family have been ranchers in this area for nearly 200 years. It's a great show. You should check it out. Plus, I run the board. I don't get to talk on the show much, but he's always got great guests. All right, so let's look back to some of my others. Oh, yes, today is National California Strawberry Day. California strawberries, so they're typically the large ones you get. Some of those come out of Mexico, but California strawberries are fantastic, and they've been farm raising strawberries there for quite a while. They're really high in vitamin C. I was always surprised, though, as you drive north out of San Diego County and you get up near the Oceanside area, on the east side of the highway, you can see people. You can go out there, you can buy these pint containers, and you go out and you pay, I don't know, so many dollars per pint, and you can pick your own strawberries and take them home. But they're right next to the roadway, right there. And Interstate 5 right there is, as you can imagine, it's the main thoroughfare between LA. It's the only thoroughfare between San Diego and LA, at least until you get into, just south of Orange County, where you can start taking some tollways. But I cannot imagine. I don't even know what the traffic count is there, but I can only imagine what the level of toxins in those strawberries are. Now, granted, a lot of those are for just self-picking, and maybe they have some preventive device there. I haven't seen it because the cars are driving right there. It's not like there's a big enclosed, 400-acre farm under some sort of gas protective sealant. But I've always wondered about that. So I'm not knocking California strawberries. I eat a lot of produce from California. A large percentage of the United States produce comes from California, but just something that was on my mind. How do we celebrate today? I don't know. Go out and buy some strawberries from California. Make strawberry shortcake. If it's cold where you live, I talked about this a while back. Go buy some strawberries. If you have any other berries in the fridge, especially ones that are, they're turning, you don't want to eat them fresh, but they're not ready to throw away, they're not moldy, get some strawberries. If you have blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, golden raspberries, blue raspberries. That blue raspberry thing still drives me nuts. But take those berries and put them in a pan with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of water and maybe a touch of vanilla, just a saute pan. And just let them slowly simmer and shake the pan every once in a while until they start to break down a little bit. You can add a touch of maple syrup to that if you want to, just to give it a little depth of flavor, and a pinch of salt to kind of offset that sweet and richness. And then let that cool down just a little bit, and then this is so good. Take a big scoop of your favorite vanilla ice cream, whether it's whole bean vanilla or French vanilla or just plain old artificial, whatever your favorite is. Whatever you like, and put that over the top of that. You scoop a couple of, ladles full, a couple of cups. No, about a half cup per scoop over the top of that ice cream. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite and simplest desserts. So let's see, what else do we have? It's also National Single Parent Day. That's okay. National Common Courtesy Day. Well, shouldn't every day be National Common Courtesy Day? That would make sense. It's National Farm Rescuer Day. I have no idea what that means. The third Thursday of March to those who support farmers in need. Okay. All right. Oh, so these are people that it's a volunteer organization. It's National Farm Rescue Day. I don't see the actual particular volunteer organization. Oh, the National Farm. No, it doesn't say. It just says National Farm Rescuer. Huh. I guess it's, I don't know. Farm Rescue. I guess there's some ways to get involved with Farm Rescue, make a difference on the national. Oh, I don't know. I guess look up farm rescue organizations, ways to volunteer. But apparently those are people that go out when there's a farm that's in peril. Maybe they have a crop that needs to be harvested. There's been a flood, a famine, or something that has affected their business. They go out and they do what needs to be done. They'll drive the combine and make the harvest. Maybe a family member or the proprietor or the operator of the farm has some health issues. These are organizations to go out and help them. That's a valiant cause. I can get behind that. Okay, it is National French Bread Day. I don't know why the United States needs to have a national French bread since it's French bread and this is the U.S., but in France, I'm sure it's just called National Bread Day. But baguettes, man, one of my favorite breads ever. That thick, crunchy crust, crisp, and that fairly light but chewy, dense center. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to eat. Yeah, what can you make with it? Actually, if you take French bread and it's a little on the stale side, cut it on the bias. So if the bread is this direction, cut it at like a 45-degree angle in maybe 1.5 inch, about 1.5 inches thick. And let that soak in a custard, basically a French toast, custard. French, the stuff you make French toast with is actually just custard, right? It's because it's egg and it's milk or cream and it's a little vanilla and or sugar or whatever you need to sweeten it up. It's custard. It's uncooked custard, right? It's just the base. But if you do that, let it soak long enough for that crunchy crust to get a little soggy and soak up all that yummy goodness that is the custard. Let it soak for a long time, all right? And then flip it over and let it soak on the other side. And then layer those in a pan, a baking dish, a single layer, right? And take as much of the liquid that's left and pour it over the top. So make a little extra of your the soaking liquid for the French toast. So it's pretty simple. It's like 2 eggs. That would be about 2 eggs, 2 cups of milk. I would use 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of heavy cream, and then about probably probably about a quarter cup of sugar, because you want a little on the sweet side, because this is gonna be like a baked kind of a baked creme brulee French toast type dish. So you want about a quarter cup of sugar in there, a pinch of salt, and about a teaspoon of vanilla. So mix that all up, throw in some cinnamon if you want nutmeg there. But the cinnamon, I would put in like a quarter to a half teaspoon, maybe a half teaspoon. Blend that all up really good until the sugar. Now, I mean, you don't want to whip this. You're just mixing it together so that the eggs break up and become incorporated, and the sugar has melted or dissolved into the mixture. And then take that, and that's what you soak your French bread in. You can actually soak it overnight in the refrigerator. Just make sure about an hour into it that you flip it, and if it's not fully covered, so that you get both sides soaked through. And you don't really want to cover it all the way anyway, because it's going to be, that's too much of the custard mix. And then you take that, and you can take that whole pan if you did it in the baking dish. Let it come to room temperature a little bit, maybe 20 minutes on the counter while the oven preheats, and then bake that at about 375, 400 until the top starts to become golden brown, and it's no longer too runny on the inside of the bread. I'll tell you, there's a fine line between undercooked French toast and properly cooked French toast. And for me, that fine line is when the inside is still like really jiggly. It's okay. It's like if you dipped bread in milk, if it's still that wet when it comes out of the oven, it's not done. It's not done if you cook it in a pan that way either. It has to be done enough in the center that it has some sort of structure and is not just going to fall apart when you cut through it with a fork. But anyway, that's one of my favorite ways to use some leftover bread. And if it's around the holidays, or you just like eggnog and you have it around year round, take that store-bought eggnog or the eggnog that you made on your stovetop and use that. So I usually take the eggnog per cup and a half or so, or 2 cups of eggnog. I'll add 1 extra egg to that because it already has some egg base in it. And then because I need to cut down the sweetness in that as well. So I'll also add about a half a cup to 1 cup of either regular milk, whether it's whole 2% or skim. So you want to cut that down by about a half. So if it's 2 cups of eggnog, about a cup of the milk, or you can use one of the plant-based milks like almond milk. I've done that quite a bit as well. All right, so I'm just inviting more people to watch. It's a great way to not waste product and, have some tasty for breakfast the next day. The next, what else is going on? I can't wait till Jeff Wetzel calls in at the bottom of the hour. I've been talking about Jeff a lot lately. He has this great show. He's been a longtime friend of mine, almost 10 years now. And he's a great chef up in Arkansas, little nutty like me, great, good old country boy, but he goes fishing almost every day. He lives on a lake up in Bella Vista, Arkansas, and one of his good friends up there, his name is Zing from Laos. They go fishing, and they do a little podcast, a little live video feed to Facebook, and it's called Pond to Plate. Jeff's going to share with us some of the antics they've had this week. He's going to give us a little fishing update. They can't tell you about where to fish and what to do every state or how to fish in every state, but they can tell you what the conditions are there and what's biting and what's coming alive right now because the weather's starting to warm up. Spring has sprung as of yesterday, and that should be a fun and interesting update. He'll give us also a catch report. So what did they catch this week, and how did they cook it? How'd they cook what they caught? So look forward to that in about 10 minutes here. All right, just trying to get some more people online and watching. Hey, again, like and share, man. I'd love to start getting 1,000 views a day, every day. Oh, you know what? Starting next week, I should have every show that's on Spoony Radio, all of the hosts, every new show they put up will be going up on Spreaker for podcast. Now, if you happen to miss the show, or you just want to listen again and you don't want to go to Facebook, you don't need to see it, you can just go to Spreaker.com to the Spoony Radio page. You can look up my show, Trey's Chowdown's on there, the Gut Check Boys are on there, and then all of the other shows are ready to go. We're just going to start launching their new shows. We're not going to upload the old shows. I'm sorry, it's a little too time consuming for me. But starting next week, we'll start uploading all those new shows, and Yeah, you'll be able to listen to Spoony anywhere, anytime, not just on the live feed, but on podcast as well. But if you do want to listen live, you're in your car, you don't have you can't watch Facebook, go to Spoony.com, click listen live, or you can go to iHeartRadio to the Spoony radio channel, and whatever's playing is live right then. All right, what else? Oh, white strawberries. I was talking about that since it's National Strawberry Day, National California Strawberry Day. There's a strawberry that comes out of Japan. Yesterday, I was talking about the fact that Japan has these fascinatingly, inappropriately expensive, but fascinatingly unique fruit. Right? They have the Kishu orange is a crossbreed from a mandarin orange that is seedless. The skin, it virtually falls off of it when you look at it. And it's the sweetest single bite of produce I've ever had. But in Japan, they grow a white strawberry. Now, there is a variety called a pine berry, right? And it's got a pineapple. It literally has a pineapple-like flavor with white coloring. It's like a pinkish, it's a white flesh with like a pinkish hue, and then the seeds are red. It's a hybrid, but it's fantastic. Now those are available in other places, not just Japan. But in Japan, they have these are not pine berries; these are actually white strawberries. So there are about 50 varieties of white strawberries. And each one has a unique flavor. So if you can find them at a store near you, they're fantastic. They're also expensive, but they're white. They're worth it. They're white. Oh, anyway, let's see. What else do we have? What else do we have today? It is National French Bread. Ooh, you know what? If you have really good French bread that's not too dense, not too crusty, man, you can make a great banh mi sandwich. Now, banh mi traditionally would be the char siu pork, right? The Chinese red pork, and served with Vietnamese style. So you'd warm up the French bread. Again, you don't want it too crusty because it's too dense, too hard to bite through. But if you have that kind of light crusted or really fresh French bread, cut it in half, and very simple. It's char siu pork. Look, we don't all have Chinese red roasted pork tenderloin. So what you do then is you go to your local barbecue place and you buy some brisket. And then you go to the grocery store and you buy some shredded carrots. Or you buy some carrots and you shred them on your grater. And then you put those on there. You put a little bit of lettuce on there. That's pretty much the sandwich. Maybe some sliced jalapenos, which is actually common in Vietnam. But then you need it can be a little dry. Typically they have like a Nuc Mam or Nuc Cham dipping sauce, which is it's a sweet chili sauce with lime juice in it. You can just use sweet chili sauce from Thailand. If you have you can buy the bottles of it. You can take that. You can dilute it a little bit because it tends to be a very thick and sweet sauce. Add a little water, a little lime juice, a little chopped garlic if you want to. That's one way to do it. Or you can just make your own. You actually take you make a simple syrup or don't make your own. Just buy the sweet chili sauce, add a little bit of water, all right? Add a lot of lime juice, and that's the perfect thing. Oh, on that sandwich also, what goes really well are whole leaves of cilantro. Really good stuff. So that's one of my favorite sandwiches, banh mi. And if you have not had one, definitely go to, if you live here, Texas has a tremendously large Vietnamese population, which I did not know about when I moved here or prior to moving here. But apparently after the Vietnam War, this is one of 3 of the main locations where they ended up, the displaced communities there, residents or citizens of Vietnam that had to flee. They ended up, Texas was one of the three areas they ended up in. Houston, I think, has the 2nd or 3rd largest in the nation as far as Vietnamese communities go. So there are these wonderful pockets of Vietnamese restaurants in this state, as there are in many. But if you go to a place that has a full menu, not just the soups like pho and Vietnamese beef stew, but you get a place that does great banh mi, I promise, if you like sandwiches at all, it will become a regular stop for you. And man, it's just fantastic. There's this little place called Sai Wok, SAIWOK, in Rogers, Arkansas. They do a banh mi sandwich. It's where I got the idea for the brisket. They actually they put brisket on there. They make it more, and they make this traditional, this really light crusted French bread, which they make in house. And it's really toasted, like really hot and toasty on the outside, and really warm in the middle. And they put the traditional fixings on there, except the meat is not char siu pork; it's brisket. And what they do is, instead of using the nuoc mam or nuoc cham sauce to kind of dip the liquid as a dipping sauce, they do theirs with. They take the soup base, the broth that you use for pho soup, and they make it a little more fragrant, add a little more clove to it, a little more cinnamon, and that's what they use for the dipping sauce. It is unbelievable. That is Sai Wok in Rogers, Arkansas. Actually, if you just look up a brisket banh mi, that's BAHNMI, I'm sure you can find it. Anyway, it might be BNH. I don't remember how it's spelled. I don't read or write Vietnamese. So anyway, we're going to go to break here in just a minute. Come on back in 2 minutes. Jeff Wetzel will be on the line with us, giving us a fishing report and what's biting, what's not, and how to cook what you catch right here on Spoony Radio. So come on back. I'm still here.
Have you done it?
Follow
you,
Chef
you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It
now,
really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called RidUZone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's worked. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to RidUZone.com and try today. You're going to love it. RidUZone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All-American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Welcome back, folks. This is the fourth and final segment of the show, better known as the dessert course. Mostly because I have other persons on the line, usually for the last half hour. Should be kind of fun. Jeff Wetzel should be calling in any minute. Let's see here. I'm looking at the comments. Rich Frankel says, did you just say you were the kitchen? Yeah, I guess I am the kitchen. Richard Brandt, testing equipment here, but lurking. Well, keep lurking. Keep lurking. You can lurk. You can stalk. Just listen and share. Tell your friends about it. Yeah, let's see here. Nope, I don't need to turn that on. But anyway, hey, tell your friends we're on. Share, like. Man, we need to get some more viewers. We need to get some more viewers. We're doing okay, but I need more. It's not always about more, though, is it? Really? I don't think more is always better. I really don't. So anyway, I'm going to start a watch party here on Spoony. Start watch party. Oh, watch this video with your friends? Yes, I'm going to start a watch party. I'll invite more people. I don't know if you listened to the first two segments of the show, but we had a young man here, Jamie Anderson of the Golden Years Project. And if you do a little research, it's actually, no, I don't want that on my timeline. No, damn it. Why is it doing that? I want it on. Leave this page. I want to go back. Go to my page. I don't need two. I don't need two watch parties going. How do I don't want to join now. I need to delete one of them. Here we go. Doop. We're going to delete that one. Edit post, change post, embed. No, delete. There we go. Okay, yes. Delete. I was trying to start a watch party on Spoony. I don't know why I don't have one on Spoony going on. Why is it only on my page? Shouldn't be that way. Facebook is getting more and more freaking complicated, or I'm getting too old to figure it out. Maybe a little of both. Anyway, Damon Mosher, you would know. Give me a call. Let me know what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, social media is just simply, what do you say? It's overwhelming to me, right? It really is. And I talk about this not every day, but a lot. It's literally, it becomes overwhelming. I don't want to, not on my timeline. Share in a group, share on a page. There you go. If I'm doing it on the Spoony page, I want it to stay on the Spoony page. Okay, no, not Food Biz Pro. I want it on Spoony. There we go. Jeez, people. Oh, it won't let me do it on that? I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, there it goes. Spoony Radio. Post. Woohoo. Now I can invite people. Keep inviting, Patrick. Anyway, social media takes up so much of our time. As a matter of fact, takes up so much time. I spoke to a young gentleman today who is kind of a social media expert. He's a young student in Connecticut. I need help. I need someone to help me maximize this, and I am going to use his help to the best of my ability. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk to a Disney Imagineer a little bit later. Jeff, I see you on the line. I'll answer in just 1 second. A guy named Andrea Favilli. He helped us design the original logos for Spoony and our sister channel Mojo 50. Great idea, man. Pretty much always the smartest guy in the room that I've ever met, and definitely the most creative. This guy's so smart. He created the Disney Legacy Award. He actually sculpted the award that's given out every 4 years to those that have achieved the ranks of greatness at Disney. Fantastic, man. Andrea and his wife, Cammie. Anyway, I look forward to talking to them at 4 o'clock our time. So if you want to add something to Spoony, no, I'm not going to ask on your behalf, man. That's a private conversation between me and him. It's about branding and growing. So anyway, I'm going to get Jeff. Jeff, I know you've been holding. Jeff, are you there? Come in, Jeff. Mork from Orson. Come in, Orson. Well, it helps if I hit the answer with the right. Yeah, sorry. I hit the wrong. There are no keys on a Mac, but apparently I hit the wrong part of the keypad for it to answer. Dude, someday I will figure technology out. In the meantime, I'm with you. Let's just go fishing.
Yeah, that's honestly what I wish I was doing today, Patrick. It is absolutely gorgeous up here in Northwest Arkansas today.
Is it really? It's kind of nice here with our view of the Mojo River here and the beautiful sunshine and the birds singing. And, but there's no fishing in the Mojo River, so I won't be going today. So why aren't you fishing today, Jeff? What, do you got to work or something?
No, I actually have a good friend of mine that is leaving this weekend to move back to Texas.
Oh, no.
And she wanted me to cook her dinner tonight, so I am having her over, so we are getting ready for that.
Hey, I got a question for you. We have a mutual friend up there, right? How's he doing, by the way? Do you know? Is he has he recovered from his little hospital incident?
Who?
Your old cook, your old roommate.
Oh, yeah, from what I know, he's apparently doing okay, but he's got a long road ahead of him.
All right, well, I just checking out. Yeah, we don't need to air everybody's stuff that's going on. I just want to check and find out about that. So, all right, man. So what is going on? So you're not fishing? Have you been fishing?
I went fishing last night.
Mm-hmm.
And did okay. We caught, well, I say we, it was just me out there. I caught about 10 fish, maybe 9, excuse me.
Yeah, what'd you catch?
So the catfish bite is the catfish bite. I was out catfishing. So the catfish bite is starting to come back to life. The water temps are moving up here. We've had beautiful sunshine days for over a week now. So water temps are 48 to 52 degrees, and once you start getting into those mid-50s, everything really starts to come back to life, and they're looking to eat. They've been kind of sleeping all winter, so it's some exciting fishing time up here right now.
Yeah. So what's the fishing report look like for today, this weekend coming up?
this weekend it should be absolutely excellent. Like I said, with a week long of nothing but sunshine and almost hitting the 70s. The water temps are moving up. The walleye have really moved up into the river arms and are getting ready to spawn, which makes them very aggressive and hungry. So the walleye fishing is great. Here in another couple of weeks, the flathead catfish are going to come back really to life and get up in the river arms and start getting ready for their spawn. So I'm hoping to catch some monster flathead catfish this year.
Nice. Very nice, man. So what happened to Ying? Why did he not go fishing last night? Zing, sorry.
Yeah, he is actually heading to Texas right now.
He's got a tournament down here?
Buying a new boat.
Really?
What's that?
He's got, what kind of boat's he getting?
It's a, I don't know the make of it, but it's got a little bit bigger motor. It's wider. He's got some plans on getting a guide service up and going, which with the fish catching fool he is, that's a great call. So, why not make a little money off fishing?
Oh, exactly. Well, I mean, he's an avid fisherman. He's a sponsored fisherman as well. He's got how many? He's got several sponsors up there, and he's a pretty accomplished crappie fisherman. That's funny to say.
He's a
pretty accomplished crappie fisherman.
And there's a whole lot of debate on how you say that fish.
Some
people say it's crappie, some people say it's crappie.
I say crappie most of the time, just so people understand I'm talking about a fish and not a,
I'm more of a crappie man myself. There's just something weird to me about calling it a crappie.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't sound right. Anyway, so fishing report. What should we use in the fishing? Should we just be fishing catfish? Hey, what about down here? What about down in Texas? We're a couple degrees warmer. What should that be?
Yep, down in Texas. The other thing that's getting ready to happen is the crappie spawn is coming up. So they're moving up in the water column. They've been kind of deep. They're now, we're catching them in 10 to 12 foot of water, sitting on top of brush piles. One of the most effective ways is we've been trolling bobbers. Surprisingly. And so we'll set about a 6-foot leader underneath a bobber with a minnow or a jig, and we'll put them 100 feet back behind the boat and just pull them as slow as we can.
And about how slow is that?
As slow as you can. 0.3 miles an hour is great. Obviously with wind and current and whatnot, you just do the best you can, but that 0.2, 0.3 is where you're looking to be.
So do you actually use a trolling motor for that, or you pick out the oars and start rowing?
No, trolling motor.
Just joking, man. I'm just joking. So when I was a kid in upstate New York, my dad literally fished almost every day. He was a fanatic. One of the things that later in life, he passed on pretty young, but the last couple of years, he really got into trolling for brown trout, those big lake trout. And, like I said, you and I both talked about, look, I don't care if I care if I'm catching fish, but I can just fish for the sake of fishing. It's that nothing box, that do nothing thing where you can just sit there and cast and reel it back. But I found it fascinating, the science behind his fishing methodology, right? He always had a plan. And I think that's one of the secrets to being a good fisherman is understanding the temperature, the water itself, the breed of fish that are, the time of year. With the crappie spawn coming up, is that just a time of year, or is that relation to the time and temperature? How do you determine that? How do you know?
Well, fish don't have a calendar, so
damn it,
it's not really a time of year thing. It is everything a fish does is based off water temperature.
All right, that makes sense. Okay.
So they fish are pretty simple creatures. They really think about 3 things: eating, regulating their body temperature, and every now and then meeting up with a nice little female fish and having a little fun.
Sounds like men, simple creatures.
Yeah, pretty much.
Food, sleep, and yes, exactly. So car fume and perfume. So again, we're getting close to that temperature. How much longer do you think till the crappies start breeding, feeding?
Yeah, probably next month on the crappie. Like I said, it's still a little cool, but it's getting there. But like I said, the water temps are starting to get close to that 55 degrees, which, like I said, really just kind of turns everything on and gets them back out and eating and getting ready for these spawns.
Nice.
So like I said, up here in Northwest Arkansas, there's so much to fish for up here. So it's just such a great area because you get, like walleye, which is a kind of a cold water fish, to the catfish. So you just get such a wide spectrum of fish here because of the weather and the conditions.
Well, I have to tell you, I went fishing with Barry up there below the dam on Beaver Lake there, and we went with who were we with? John Cherinack, and man, we went trout fishing. I think we filled our limit in about an hour, all three of us. It was fantastic, man. It was so much fun. And then, Barry turned his daughter's old playhouse into a smoker. So it was good. We had smoked trout, but. So what else, when did the bass start biting up there? Is it kind of the same time or a little bit later? Does that have to be a little warmer for them?
They need a little bit warmer. They're kind of in the 60s, but you should start seeing the bass now start coming back up to the banks. They're not going to be suspended as deep now, so they should start moving back up to the banks here now to feed. All the bluegill and everything are going to start coming out of the deep and start heading to those shallower waters, which wherever the bait is, guess what? Here comes the predator fish. So bass, catfish, the crappie, everything starts moving up. Now I kind of, we always make a joke, me and Zing, he's a big crappie guy. I'm a big catfish guy. And, I always tell him that he goes fishing for the fish that my fish eats.
He's a bait fishing. He's a bait fishing fool. So on that note, you caught you caught a huge catfish this year, right? This last year. All right.
Yes.
And tell us where you caught that and how big that thing was.
It was on Loch Lomond, here in Bella Vista.
Is that the one
kind of my stomping
that's
grounds
the one you live on, right? Right there?
No, I live on Lake Windsor, but Loch Lomond's about 4 minutes down the street.
Okay, that's okay.
Beautiful little area up here in Bella Vista. There's 6 lakes up here. They're all like private. You've got to be a landowner to be out on them, or you have to pay. So private is kind of a loose word, but if you don't live here, you do have to pay to be out there. Gotcha. So it makes it really, really nice up here because there's so many times I'll be out there and I'll be the only boat on the whole lake.
I need wireless headphones before I strangle myself to death. Holy crap. I don't like being constrained, man. I don't like sitting still either, as you can tell. So, yeah, that's a beautiful catfish. If you don't know Jeff Wetzel, have him on his page. It's Jeff Wetzel, W-E-T-Z-E-L. On Facebook. You can go to Le Bouvier Chef Services, or your new page and your new show, at least you're doing like little Facebook Live stuff right now, Pond to Plate. You want to tell us a little bit about Pond to Plate and what you and Zing are doing out there?
Yeah, we are out there kind of combining the best of both worlds. We're getting some videos put together now. I did have a learning curve here that, video editing is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and a lot more time consuming.
Hey, you know what? Do you have a Mac computer?
I don't.
Well, that's I can help you with some of the editing. Just call me off the air later, okay? I'll tell you how to do some stuff especially if one of you has an iPhone.
Nope, no Apple products. We're
okay.
Galaxy people are.
I got a plan C, so I'll tell you about that later.
But so we're just kind of banking video right now and getting it edited. But the YouTube channel will start getting back up regular. We were just trying to get ahead on some videos right now. We're going to have all kinds of cool how-to videos on how to build different kind of fishing things, how to set up different kind of rigs. But then we're also going to take you out and show you the application of these things and how to use them in the water, how to go target these fish. So you're going to learn not only how to catch them, but then we're going to teach you what to do with them when you catch them. So we're going to teach you how to clean them and how to cook them.
Well, that's one of the things I like is, So it's called Pond to Plate, and one of the things you're going to cover is, how to cook what you caught. And so this week you've been fishing a couple times. So have you cooked up what you caught? What have you done? What have you been doing?
I haven't this week. I've kind of been a little all over the place this week. The kids are out of school for spring break, so been kind of all over the place. But, speaking of Barry, I actually saw Barry today. I went down there to pick up some shrimp. My friend that I'm cooking for tonight, she wanted ribeyes and shrimp. So that's what I'm cooking her, and I decided to go ahead and throw in my crab cakes on there too.
Nice. Very nice, dude. Well, as always, you're a nice guy. You do a lot of extra work and put in the extra time for your friends and your family. It's awesome. So what was the most recent bet on the boat you won or lost, and what were the repercussions of that?
The last bet we had was I was learning how to use Zing's trolling motor. He's got one of these fantastic Minn Kota iPilot trolling motors.
Electric?
So it's completely, it's a 24 volt, but it's completely wireless. No pedal, no nothing.
Oh, wow.
You just have a little remote control that you hold. And so I was kind of learning how to drive that. And we bet if I could make a pass and catch a walleye, one of us was going to have to swim. And if I made the pass and we didn't catch anything, then I had to swim. And so I ended up swimming. And the water was about 44 degrees. So, and it was about 32 degrees outside.
Wow.
So, not fun.
That's not the first time you swam to shore, though, is it?
No, it's not. I have swam one other time. But we were out on Swepco, and I had him beat all day long. And then 5 minutes before the time limit, he caught one seriously 2 ounces bigger than me.
That was biggest fish, right, that day? That was the challenge?
Yep.
Oh, man. So when are you guys back out on the water, and what kind of fun? Look, dude, you need to start changing the bet to not just swim ashore. Actually, now that's getting warmer, that might be the better of the things to choose, but we're going to have to think some really fun and interesting stuff to do, like one of you's going to have to drive down here. The loser's got to drive down and do a show with me or something like that. Oh, the loser has to drive the winner down to sit down, has to drive you down while you just take a nap in the car, because it's about 5.5 hours, or probably 6 hours to the studio, and then you all come down and do a little interview, or the loser buys the gas, both ways. That won't be bad. Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good bet.
So,
plus, I'd like to get down there and see the studio anyway.
Yeah, well, look, I'd love to have you in anytime you come through. I know you get to Houston to see your folks a lot, and on and off, depending on what you got going on. Is there any what's going on in the food news up there? Look, Northwest Arkansas, as people don't understand, maybe they may not know, it is a hotbed of innovation, right? This is the home of Sam's and Walmart. Their corporate offices are there, and there's a ton of other businesses based there. Tyson Poultry's up there. You have JP Hunt, right?
JB Hunt.
JB Hunt. That's that's the largest transportation logistics company in the United States, probably the world. Man, there's a lot of innovation, a lot of activity. I know a lot of restaurants closed. I know Mod closed, Modern Cuisine. But is there anything opening? Anything worth trying out? Anything interesting? I know that Trick Dilly has a storefront now. I know Troy up there. He does those amazing street tacos.
Yep. Yeah, that's getting going. They just opened a new that I haven't been to yet, but it's kind of a Vietnamese-influenced restaurant called Komodo down in Pinnacle that I'd really like to get out there and try it, but I have not made it yet. Old Matt Cooper at Preacher's Son is always doing a good job over there. I think he's a pretty cool dude for one, but he also, the fact that he does everything gluten-free because he's celiac disease. And I'll tell you what, man, he made a macaroni and cheese that was gluten-free. And I was kind of like, how do you make macaroni and cheese gluten-free and keep it good? Well, that man managed to do it because it was one of the best macaroni and cheeses I've ever eaten, for one. And it was gluten-free, so I was just super impressed with what he did there.
So Coop is one of the most talented chefs I know. He's not just talented. He's got old school chops. I mean, he really does, with a new school attitude, man. He is one of the coolest cucumbers in the room. He's a great mentor to his employees, and that guy can cook. He won the Iron Chef competition right there in Arkansas. 2 out of 3 years, I think.
Yep.
Not to mention, he actually was a pre-med student who was going to go into medical school, and he decided his uncle is actually a very famous food scientist. Who developed developed a lot of uses for corn syrup, right? And kind of that whole, one of the extraction processes for that. But, he decided to he looked into that, and he decided to go to culinary school, started cooking, and he has become, I think, one of the best chefs by far in Arkansas. How about Matt McClure? I know he's nominated again for Best Chef South this year for the James Beard Awards. This is, I think, second or third year nominated. I think it's third year nominated. I don't know if they're doing anything at 21.
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
But you think about the size of that area. You're talking about 100,000 people in that area, and it's amazing the variety of cuisine, the talent that's drawn there, and the amount of money that travels through that area. So anyway. I take it you didn't buy the floating food truck?
Not yet.
No.
We're still thinking about that.
So floating food truck. By that I mean, you want to explain a little more what that is?
Yeah, it's a 24-foot tri-tune with a kitchen built on it. So it's got a little seating area up on the front deck, and so you can just go float it out into these party coves and sell tacos, sell whatever you feel like doing. It's a pretty cool little concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. You sent me that picture. I was like, what is that? That is it's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen, actually. A floating.
Not to mention in my downtime, I can throw a rod in the water. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, hey, just imagine the kind of footage you can get for Pond to Plate right there. You catch it and throw it right on the grill in your off time. Man, that sounds like fun. A lot of fun. So besides what's on
that's one of the services we were thinking about putting on there if we do move forward with it is, all those fishermen out there, hey, bring us your catch. We'll clean it and bag it for you and send you home, or we'll cook it for you right there. So...
one of the things I'd like you to do one day, I have the recipe, but I'd like you to share it on the air, and I'll post it with your, Chef Jeff's hush puppies, right? Man, that hush puppy recipe that's one of my favorite hush puppy recipes ever. And next time we're talking about fish and you're frying something up and you come on the radio, it'd be really really nice to give that out to the listeners, because there's 10 million recipes out there, but yours, I'm telling you, it's the best recipe I've seen made from scratch like that.
Yeah, they come out really good. I've given that recipe to a few people. In fact, one of my buddies, Mark, actually called me for the recipe the other day, and he made them. And he was like, Jeff, they didn't come out like yours. And I said, let me guess, they're probably pretty dense. He said, yes. And one of the biggest keys to hush puppies is kind of like pancake mix. Mm-hmm. The more that you touch it and work it, the tougher and denser the hush puppies get. So really just want to take it nice and easy with them, just barely get them together and then go.
Well, and I talk about that all the time when you're making pancakes, because the more you mix it, the more the gluten starts to develop, right? Those strands start getting longer and longer. And as you stretch them out, they get stringier and tougher. And, it's like muscle fibers, right? The more you work it, the tighter that gets, right? The stronger. And there's only so many times you can put that in the refrigerator, cool it down, and let it relax. Eventually, it stops doing that. But you're right. Like you don't have to mix all the lumps out, and you don't mix it on high speed. You just kind of work it in. And if you can fold the ingredients together using a spatula at first, and then or towards the end rather, once you've used a whisk to incorporate, I think it's always the best. And another key thing, people don't think about this as home cooks. All your dry ingredients, put them in at once, and mix those together with a fork or whisk first. Then add the wet ingredients, and it saves you from having, just a big chunk of unincorporated baking soda or baking powder. You ever get those muffins with just a big chunk of baking soda in there? Oh, no, I mean, feels like toothpaste from when I was a kid, man. Mama, that doesn't taste good.
And it's funny here at our house, my kids love pancakes, and so I tend to make it quite often, and they always kind of give my wife a hard time because when she makes pancakes, they call them crepes because hers tend to stay a little flatter. They don't quite fluff up like mine do. So we're always giving my wife a bit of a hard time on that.
Poor Jess, man. Come on, man. Who else would have stuck with you all these years besides me? No.
She's got to be crazy.
No, exactly. So, hey, what are you gonna do those shrimp tonight besides just grilling with the? You gonna put any black anise or anything on there?
No, she actually just wanted plain and simple grilled shrimp. So that is what we are going to do.
Man, what kind of ribeyes you got?
I was thinking about going we got some beautiful prime Angus beef ribeyes from our wonderful local Sam's Club is where I picked these up. They were having a good deal on them, and they look gorgeous.
So go back. I didn't mean to cut you off on the shrimp, man. You took a breath. I thought you were done. As the youngest of 5 in New York, you got to jump in quick or you never get to talk.
Yep, and of course she picked shrimp, and that I'm allergic to shrimp.
I know.
So that's another reason why the crab cakes came in, because while my wife and Sherry are enjoying shrimp, I will be eating crab cakes.
That reminds me, I need to post Maryland jumbo lump crab cake. Hey, yeah, 20 seconds left. Can you? What do you put in your crab cakes? Jumbo lump, a little back fin meat. What do you do?
Yeah, I do a little roasted red pepper, lemon juice, eggs, some panko, and some green onion.
I'm pretty close to that. I use chive instead of green onion. I don't put the red pepper in. I do put a little Dijon mustard, a little mayonnaise, egg yolk, and that's pretty much it. I don't like the Old Bay. Salt, pepper, and you know what's good in there? A little tarragon. Fresh tarragon. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Hey, thanks, Jeff. I always appreciate you calling in, man. Appreciate you being a friend. I'll talk to you later, and you have a good afternoon. Enjoy your dinner, and have a great weekend.
All right, everyone have a great day and tight lines, y'all.
All right, take care. Hey, that was Chef Jeff Wetzel, Le Bouvier Chef Services. He, again, trained, classically French, and as he says, tragically redneck, one of my best friends in the world. Folks, join us tomorrow. Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. I'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, bring your ideas. I might open the phone lines. If not, I got plenty of other callers to take. Have a good night. Ciao for now.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Trump this hour will sign an executive order to protect free speech on college campuses.
Acting on an idea he proposed at CPAC earlier this month, the president will order colleges to protect free speech or risk losing federal funding. The executive order would affect federal research grants, but not student financial aid. A senior administration official says the president strongly supports cultivating free speech in higher education and that college and university campuses should promote open, intellectually engaging debate. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The president says it's time to recognize Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. In a tweet, he says, after 52 years, it's time for the United States to fully recognize Israel's control over what he says is an area of critical, strategic, and security importance to Israel. Also on townhall.com, in Missouri, Holt County Commissioner Tim Bullock says the spring flooding that's hit Nebraska and Iowa